Take off.
Hey my berries, this is me, Darkberry32, and I'm coming to you guys today with Let's Talk Tuesday. And I know I normally do thrifting and tutorials and cooking, and this Tuesday I was even thinking about doing a weight loss video, but I cannot ignore the fact of the George Zimmerman verdict. I was out with some family members. We were having a few drinks. Just kind of chilling, and then all of a sudden, you know, it was actually at like a pub type place, and you know they had TVs, and all of a sudden I looked up and I was like, oh my God, look, they got a verdict. So I thought, oh great, we're in a place where we can celebrate, blah 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 blah, you know, blah. Y'all, they didn't have the sound up, but I could tell by George Zimmerman's face that it was a not guilty verdict. Before they even flashed it up on the screen, I said, oh my God. I clutched my heart and I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe this. I cannot believe this. And there's a couple of reasons why this particular, maybe a few reasons why this particular thing hits home with me. First of all, I have a son that was turning 16 on the day that Trayvon Martin was shot and killed. My son is now 17 years old. I've seen my son plenty of times walking back and forth to the bus stop with a hoodie on because it's raining or because it's cold, and he doesn't want to wear the nice jacket that mommy bought him. You know, he wants to wear the hoodie. You know, he wants to look cool and whatever, you know. And I understand that because you hardly ever see a boy, you know, walking around with an umbrella, you know. So anyway, so my son turned 16 on that day, and I can remember the first time I heard the 911 calls. I hadn't even heard about Trayvon until I think I saw some kind of newscast or something, and it made me want to like investigate more and see what was going on. And so then I started listening to some of the 911 calls, and it just, golly, like all that day I just felt like sad because all I could think about was the mom. You know, because I'm a mom and I have a son it's around that age. So anyway, the verdict comes down and is not guilty, and I am having a hard time trying to figure out, like I didn't watch all of the trial. I didn't watch it from beginning to end. I did see, you know, bits and pieces of it. So I'm, you know, if I'm overstepping my bounds and speaking on something that I don't have a lot of information about, please forgive me and correct me down below in the comments. I have no problem with that. Now, but this is what I have a problem with. You know, everybody's like, well, this is how our justice system works and blah, blah, blah. You know, people that say that kind of stuff, to me, y'all don't know what it feels like to lose a family member. And especially a child. I've never lost a child, and I'm going to tell you that is one fear that I have. I don't ever want to lose a child. Not like that, especially not by murder. It's bad enough when some people lose a child by an illness or a sickness. But to actually lose a child by the hands of somebody who wants to be a cop, because that's basically what this man wanted to be. He wanted to be a cop. This man was on his way to the grocery store and saw Trayvon walking around the neighborhood. Trayvon was on the phone with his little friend, hiding under this little thing, waiting on his friend because it was raining. I mean, waiting on the rain to stop. And was talking on the phone with his friend after he came back from a convenience store with his Skittles and his Arizona tea that everybody's been talking about. So George Zimmerman's like, ooh, he fits a profile of the type of guys that have been breaking into homes around here. Which, okay, that'll get your little antennas going. I don't have no problem with that. Racial profiling, yes, that's what it is. But okay, so you see somebody that looks like, that fits the description of maybe somebody that has broken into, you know, these houses or whatever. I have to say George Zimmerman did right by calling 911, but after that, baby, I can't agree with him. Because as a matter of fact, I was going to say no one told him to get out of that car. But as a matter of fact, they did. They told him, don't get out of that car. We don't need you to do that. We need you to stay where you are. Did he listen? No. And then it goes on to say, well, I was trying to find out the name of the street. Wait a minute, baby. If you are head of the neighborhood watch, you should know the name of those streets. So then they go on to say that Trayvon jumps out of the bushes and like, you're going to die tonight, you know. Well, y'all, I'm going to tell y'all this right now. As a grown woman that knows better, I probably would have jumped out and said the same thing. Because what are you following me for? I'm in my father's neighborhood going home. Or even if he wasn't going home. Even if he wanted to walk the streets. Because he's black and he has on a hoodie and because he fits the description of other people, he can't walk the streets. You can't tell me that man needed to get off. You just cannot tell me that. Because why are you following this kid? Do what you're supposed to do. Call 911 and sit in your car. Even when someone is sick and they tell you to call 911 and you call 911, they tell you to stand outside of the house or wherever you are and flag them down. They don't tell you to go and play doctor. They don't tell you to do none of that. So I don't understand, you know, first of all, I'm not ignorant. I'm not ignorant. There was a few other phone calls that Zimmerman made in the past, and every time, y'all, every time he would call, they would ask, is he black, white, or Hispanic? He's black. Call another time, is he black, white, or Hispanic? He's black. Black, okay, my God. My God. If the crime was so bad over there, don't you think that they'd have had some other type of things in place, you know, video cameras or something in place if it was that bad? You know, I know because of the way I live and the way my Lord is that I don't have to worry about this. And I know Sabrina Fulton and Trayvon's father, they don't have to worry about it either, because vengeance is mine, said the Lord. Okay? That's the way I've lived my life. People have done me wrong, have done things to me, and I got some strong-willed people in my life that are like, why don't you do this to them, and why don't you do that to them, and why don't you say this, and why don't you say that? And I always tell them, vengeance is mine, said the Lord. And y'all, I've been right every time. Every time. I can sit back, enjoy my life, and live my life. And I hope and pray that the same thing, I hope the same thing enters Sabrina's, and I can't remember Trayvon's dad's name, but Mr. Martin. I hope that both of them look at it this way, that they had their time in court, but something else is going to come down. I mean, I'm already hearing different stories now that George Zimmerman, and y'all can Google this, that George Zimmerman was accused of child molestation. He molested his cousin, even though she was 6 and he was 8 at the time, but it kept going for years. I think up until like George Zimmerman was probably like 22, something like that, years of age. So, that has happened, and then a lot of stuff is coming out about, you know, their family is racist and all that, but you know, people right now to this day, they're going to take that with a grain of salt, as far as the racism thing, because they can't stand when black folks say, oh, y'all, you know, and then they tell us, y'all are pulling the race car. Well, hell, oh, Lord, excuse me, but what do you expect? What do you expect? I mean, that's how we were brought over here. Because we were looked at as lower and less than. And when everybody else has all this rich history. They, when they do their weddings, and they have different celebrations with their weddings, because they got all of this history and tradition in their family, and everybody has these traditions and stuff. And then when you really look back on it, African Americans don't have a lot of rich traditions. I mean, we have started doing the jumping of the broom, which, if you guys don't know the history of that, is because we weren't supposed to be able to get married legally. So that was our way of bonding or becoming man and wife, is by jumping over a broom. And that's where that statement comes from, jump in the room, jump in the broom. Yeah, that's where that comes from. And so, like, when most races or ethnicities are really rich in culture, and you see them with their garb on, and the way they dress, and all these different types of things, and they're very rich in their culture. And then African Americans, to me, have been stripped of so much. So yeah, when there's this deal with the judicial system, and knowing that it was never really on our side in the first place, because if back in the slavery days, if a white woman came onto a black man and she really liked what she saw, and went on and had intercourse with him, and someone caught them in bed together, and all of a sudden he raped her, and this man got hung for that. So this is what I'm trying to say is, guys, this is nothing new to us. However, because of the year 2013, we would think that some of this has gone away, but it's still here. It's just in a more sophisticated manner. It's in a more sophisticated manner. It's not in the same, well, let's just get him. We don't care what they say. We don't want to hear what they have to say. They were accused. She's a white woman, and we're going to do this to them. And that's just the way things were. But when things are so, like, excuse the pun, black and white, when things are so black and white, you would think that we would have a chance. I mean, I'm reading stories of a woman who shot a warning shot in the air to stop her husband from beating her, and she got 20 years. This man puts a bullet through this child's heart because this child looked a certain way, never committed a crime. Trayvon never committed a crime. But Trayvon's walking around, this man is looking for him, or wait, looking for the address, because he don't know the address. And he happens to go back to his vehicle, and Trayvon jumps out. What are you following me for? What are you following me for? That would be the question that if they could have put that man on the stand. What are you following me for? Why are you following me? What did I do for you to follow me? Because nowadays, little girls and little boys are getting taken left and right. And it's regardless of your age, honey. So, Trayvon was probably thinking, hell, I'm going to protect myself. Because children are getting taken left and right. And men are dirty. Women are dirty. You see teachers having sex with kids. Some of these teachers, these parents are having conferences with, and they're having sex with your children. It's not like our kids are blind to this stuff. So, heck yeah. He's going to try to protect himself from some guy that he doesn't even know that's following him. Oh, Trayvon had the use of the sidewalk as his weapon. Well, I'm going to tell you this. Like my mom and my daddy used to tell me. Somebody mess with you, you pick up a brick and knock the you-know-what out of them. And then you run. And then you run. But you don't just follow people. You don't make people feel uncomfortable. And then it's almost like they tried to make Trayvon out as the criminal in his own death when somebody else shot him. Come on, y'all. come on. And I know a lot of people got their opinions, you know, a lot of people are, you know, I mean, you got some of the racist people that they're going to say what they're going to say because, you know, they're just ignorant anyway, because that, to me, that's what racism is just ignorance. But for the people that have some sense, I mean, let's look at it and let's empathize with this family that lost a family member. If any of you out there have lost family members, you know how devastating it is. You know how long it takes to get over. And even then, you don't really get over it. You just go on with it. You don't get over it. You just go on with it. So I don't want to make this video too long, but I had to voice my opinion. I would love to hear you guys' opinion. You know, what do you really think of this, of the trial? What do you think of the verdict? What do you think of just, you know, how are you explaining this to your children? Like I said, my son is 17 years old. I love that boy with all my heart. All my heart. And I bet you Sabrina and Trayvon's dad was the same exact way. With all of their heart. And he's gone because he wanted to walk around the neighborhood like teenagers do. He wasn't around all of his normal friends because he was visiting his dad. So he was walking around talking to his home girl back at home. Ready to do something simple as eat some sugary candy and drink a sugary drink, which all teenagers like to do. And because one man decided to take the law into his own hands and then wants to cry, he hurt me, he hurt me. What the heck do you think is going to happen when you're in neighborhood watching, especially when you are taking matters into your own hands? Do you understand what I'm saying, guys? Like, what did he expect to happen if you're going to come up on somebody? You can't just come up on somebody like that nowadays. There's too much going on in this world for you to just come up on this kid and expect this kid not to do anything. Now, I'm sure there are some little scary, you know, people that, oh, sir, what you do? But that day he messed with the wrong person. And I believe George Zimmerman was not expecting this child to fight back. He wanted to get this kid in some sort of trouble, you know, mess with his day or whatever, whatnot, you know. And again, I didn't watch the trial from beginning to end. But if they had a neighborhood watch and George Zimmerman was not on neighborhood watch that night, he was supposed to be on his way to the grocery store. Who was on neighborhood watch that night? Who was on neighborhood watch that night? I don't know. That's just a question I have. And if you guys have an answer to that, I would like to know, because like I said, I didn't watch from beginning to end. But who was on neighborhood watch that night? The night that George Zimmerman took Trayvon Martin's life. So yeah, that's my 2 cents, guys. I hope you guys, I'm not letting it get me down, because, you know, I'm a positive person, and I just thank God that I still have my son. You know, I have my son here. Like, you have to look at things that way, and I hope that doesn't sound ugly, but I am. I'm grateful that my babies are still with me, and nothing's going on with them, and that there's no crazy man trying to stalk them or whatever he was so-called trying to do that night. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna cut it short. Well, probably not short, but I just wanted to give my 2 cents. I just had to give my 2 cents. I could not let this go without saying what has been on my heart since Saturday night, you know, and after talking to my children about it, and it's just crazy, you know. So anyway, give me your thoughts, comments below, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.